President.
Senator from Massachusetts.
Mr. President, I rise today to speak in opposition to the Congressional Review Act resolution, which would overturn the Department of Energy's furnace efficiency standard. A vote for this resolution is a vote for higher costs for American families, a vote for higher temperatures for future generations, a vote for scaremongering over science. What you have just said on the Senate floor, Senator Welch, is a complete reflection of my own views about this issue. Families face high energy bills. They're afraid of climate chaos. But instead of tackling those problems head on, we are instead burying our heads in the sand by attacking a common sense upgrade to energy efficiency standards. This resolution seems to have come straight from the American Gas Association's playbook. Use more natural gas. That's their plan. Send greenhouse gases up into the atmosphere to dangerously warm our planet. That is the plan of the American Gas Association. I am the House author of the National Appliance Energy and Conservation Act, which was passed in 1987 and authorized the Department of Energy to set binding standards for appliance energy efficiency. And so that set the minimum standard of energy efficiency for 13 types of appliances: air conditioners, refrigerators, freezers, washers, dryers, gas furnaces. And that law has been updated many times over the years and now covers about 60 products. And it is estimated that my Appliance Efficiency Act, which became law over 3.5 decades ago, has done more to save energy than any other federal policy in buildings in our country's history. And what's the central premise? It's just working smarter, not harder. Using less electricity. Using less energy. Working smarter, not harder. My mother always said to me, "Eddie, you have to learn how to work that way." That was before she would say that she was going to donate my brain to Harvard Medical School as a completely unused human organ. Because if you don't work smarter, you're going to work harder. That's what the American Gas Association wants. It wants to drill, baby, drill. But it's drill into the pockets of consumers. It's to result in greenhouse gases going up into the atmosphere, which ultimately are going to cause incredible storms, incredible climate consequences, when we could just reduce the amount of energy which we are consuming. How hard is that? During the Trump era, the Department of Energy missed its 28 deadlines to update the appliance standards, as they are supposed to do by law every single 6-year period. And they left the backlog to President Biden. And the Biden administration has been making up for lost time, already completing 24 rules, with about a dozen left in front of them this year, which, when finalized, will save consumers nearly $1 trillion and 2.5 billion metric tons of carbon emissions over 30 years. That's working smarter, not harder. You save money and you reduce greenhouse gases. Gas furnaces, as the senator from Vermont was mentioning, have an outsized impact on household bills, as residential heating is the largest source of energy consumption for most families. And when a furnace is installed in a household, it lasts a very long time. This resolution is directly at odds with the welfare of working-class families and renters, who often spend a disproportionate amount of their income on energy bills. And renters don't even get to pick their furnace, just to pay the bills for it. Winter heating bills are a huge burden for families, with some forced to make impossible choices nearly every month between paying for food, medicine, and basic necessities like heat. before this new rule that the gas lobby, the natural gas lobby, would so desperately like to go up in smoke, we haven't seen any meaningful update on gas furnace efficiency standards since Congress first set them in my bill in 1987. That's the American Gas Association at work. And as much as it might be helpful for climate change, public health, and national security, the Department of Energy standards do not phase out gas furnaces. The rule getting targeted by this resolution doesn't even address existing gas furnaces, nor is the rule effective immediately. Instead, this rule that we're debating today will ensure that all new gas furnaces meet a 95% fuel efficiency threshold starting in 2028. Plenty of running room for the industry, plenty of notice, but plenty of benefits ultimately for consumers in their home heating bill, and reduction in greenhouse gases for the next generation of Americans who are afraid that they're going to be left paying the bill for all of the consequences of out-of-control climate change, which these furnaces contribute to in a major way. This provides for a slow phase-out of older, less efficient furnaces while leaving more efficient furnaces on the market that already make up nearly half of all current models. The furnace efficiency standards alone will cut 332 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions from furnaces over 30 years, as well as other pollutants like methane and nitrous oxides. That's equal to taking 79 million gas-powered cars off the roads, or cutting the annual emissions of 85 coal-fired power plants. They won't be needed. 85 coal-burning plants won't be needed because the electricity won't be needed because the furnaces are so much more efficient. Furnace manufacturers like this rule because it spurs innovation. Customers like this rule because it will save them money. Families like this rule because it would reduce the amount of toxic gas they are inhaling on a daily basis, reducing risk of asthma, heart disease, and premature deaths. The more you inhale, the more dangerous it is for the children in the house, for pregnant women in the house. Scientists like this rule because it will cut how much climate change-causing pollution we're sending up into the atmosphere. The American Gas Association, which filed a legal challenge that is oddly similar to my colleague's CRA language, does not like this rule because it will cut how many customers are dependent on their product. It will eat into their already astronomical profits, the wealthiest industry in the history of the world. But they want more, even if consumers could save. They want the hot and toxic status quo to remain in place. They're afraid that our country will become ever more efficient or even decarbonize and continue on without them. So they are acting out of corporate fear to destroy our chance at a livable future. Repealing the standards would saddle millions of Americans with unnecessarily high heating bills for decades to come. And let me be clear, energy poverty is a racial justice issue. It's an economic justice issue. It's an environmental justice issue. And we must take steps today to remedy this injustice. Even though an efficient furnace may cost slightly more on the market today, costs will continue to fall and households will be more than paid back in lower energy bills year after year after year. They'll have much lower emissions that are being sent up. They will have more innovation. They will have more health care benefits. All of that will flow to ordinary Americans unless the American Gas Association has its way with this United States Senate. So my colleagues will rant and rave about the need to constantly drill, baby, drill to get enough fossil fuels to keep our grid running. They love to fearmonger about reliability issues and how we can keep the lights on, but the cleanest, cheapest, and most reliable megawatt of energy is the one we never have to use. And that's why everyone who supports a reliable grid should support energy efficiency standards, working smarter and not harder. We shouldn't sacrifice savings, our grid, our health, and our climate on the altar of the American Gas Association. A moderate increase in energy efficiency for furnaces just makes sense. This radical proposal to reverse this energy efficiency standard should be rejected, and I urge my colleagues to vote no. This, today, will be a vote for the future. It will be a vote for future generations. It will be a vote to say that finally the Senate is serious about dealing with this crisis that is affecting our planet and the next generation of children from our country. So I thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership on this issue, and I urge a rejection of this proposal coming from the American Gas Association. I yield back.